Welcome back to Cardigan Bay Fishing Adventures. If you're new to the channel, I am David Barber. We're working on the boat again. In front of us here we've got the Flybridge. It's the part that goes on top of the cuddy. Because I've extended it, I've had to also board the sides out, as you can see right here. So I've not done that side yet. I've done this side, but the panel is still on there. So what I'm going to do is pull this panel off on video just to show you the finish. You can see there, it was originally there and now it's there. This is going to be trimmed, so we've got a shape, the original shape here. So it'll probably be trimmed from about here up like that. I'm not sure whether to go to here or into the corner and sort of taper it. So I'm going to leave it as it is for the moment, that wide, and then taper it out. I'm hoping you can see from the camera there, I've fiberglassed a little plastic pipe in here. We will have navigation lights here, and I want somewhere to run the wiring. It's not necessary to hide it, I suppose it is a bit, but it's more stop it being caught. I don't want to be fixing cable clips all the way down and screwing into everything. This way, I can run the wires down and they stay tidy. I've got another little bit of the pipe here, as you can see. It's like overflow pipe for a toilet, I believe. So what you do with this, which I will explain when I actually make the video for you and show you everything, you sand this with 40 grit sandpaper, scuff it all up, give it a good acetone and a clean, put it where you want it, which this one is going to go in the centre here, like that, and then I'll be fiberglassing it on. And I've also got one that side as well. It doesn't look pretty. At the end of the day, it's a fishing boat. It's meant to be more practical, so that's just the way it's going to be. What I'll do quickly is pull this board off on video. I've literally just got up to the boat. I've not even got my overalls or anything on yet. I've not started. But I thought I'd do an intro to the video before I got ready and get this board off and see what it looks like on the backside to see if it's worked. So as you can see here, we've got melamine board. What I've used is hot glue in different areas just to hold it to the side. There's a YouTube channel called Autoflock Motorsport, I believe. The bloke's name's Raj. He was the one who was messaging me on Facebook and said, use hot glue. Honestly, I was skeptical. I really was skeptical, but it works amazing. If you use too much hot glue, it does pull the fiberglass apart or the gel coat, it'll rip it off. So just use tiny little dots. On this, when I've glued this board on, I've had issues getting this board really flat to the Flybridge. The Flybridge is all different shapes and contours. So this is not going to be as good as the windows that I did on the cuddy. Anyway, let's try and pop it off. So all I'm doing is literally putting the screwdriver in and gently twisting it. Not a lot, just a bit. I think it's releasing all right. So what I'm trying to do is get it on the hard surfaces of the original Flybridge. Oh, it come off pretty quick. As you can see, that works pretty well. That's nice and solid. I didn't expect it to come off that easy. So I will do a video of this today. What I'm doing is putting a little bit of release wax on this board, and then yeah, where you can see there, that's absolutely spot on. I'll show you a bit closer now. I'm sorry if the camera angles are pretty poor. You can see there the new side panel that's in. I'm not sure how wide to leave it at the top. Obviously you can see the original shape there. I'm going to put that original shape into this. I may taper it up to there. I may taper it up to there, I'm not sure yet. But you can see what I was saying about it. It is hard to get close to it. It's stepped out quite a lot because I couldn't get the board really flat because this angles inwards and there's a lump here. There's the different shapes. So possibility, I'm going to have to build this up here with fiberglass on the outside. This is going to add a lot of strength for this extension. So if you look from this side, as it was just, you can see it there. I'm still going to be fiberglassing around here, down here, and fiberglassing extra layers on the middle piece I've done there, just to tie everything in together. This is going to add a lot more strength, but the problem is it's going to also add a lot of weight, which is not ideal. I'm going to have to just play it by ear and see what happens with it all. The plan with this, once it's on the cuddy, I'm going to be fiberglassing all of this down onto the cuddy. So that's why I've ground it all out, as you can see, everywhere. So once the Flybridge is on here, this will be fiberglassed all the way down and into this side right down here, so it ties everything together and makes it nice and strong. Anyway, stop waffling. I'm going to get the board on the other side, show you how that works, show you what you need to do to get it on, and we're going to fiberglass this side. Well, I'm working on the other side of the Flybridge now to get the panel on, to build it out. This panel has been cleaned thoroughly. I've used a Stanley blade scraper, literally holding it flat. I've gone over the whole surface to get off any little bits or dots or anything that's on there. I've acetoned it all over. I've also scraped all of this with the Stanley blade scraper, and then I've acetoned that. The issue I've got with this, the Flybridge is not symmetrical. The top corner that side is flatter than this side. This side sort of bows out. That's the way it's been built in the mould originally. It all looks the same, but when you actually put straight edges on it, it's miles out. So when I put this panel on here, I've got a big gap down here. I did struggle to do this extension on this. There's a lip here quite big, and it sinks in that side. That is purely because of the shape of the Flybridge. I thought it was something I did wrong, but it's not. When you put a straight edge on the ear, it's just way out. It does look like there's been a repair, an old repair done here. So the plan with this board, what you want to do is you basically just lift it into place, hot glue, hot glue, hot glue all the way around, and you stick the panel to it. I'm going to have issues with this because when I look down here, in some places there's over 10 mil of gap, especially here. So it's going to take a lot of work to true it all up and make it look like the other side. As you can see, this is the same panel. This was the side that I used on that side. I fiberglassed onto that. So all I've done is flipped it over to the clean side. And I'm going to use the same straight edge, which I used along there. Line it up with the bottom of this side. Roughly there like that. And I'm going to hot glue it on, basically. And yeah, get it ready to fiberglass on the inside. The hot glue gun is just your normal generic cheapy one. Well, it says Loctite, so it might not be that cheap, but I stole it from the missus' cupboard. But as you can see, that's ready to go. Look, there's glue coming out. So yeah, I'm going to start gluing it on. What I would have liked to have done is square it all up a little bit more, but there's literally nothing I can do. It's not going to make any difference, and I'm probably going to spend half an hour trying to make it more flat. It's not really going to help. So what I will do is get it in the position this side where I want it, because that does sit nice and flat. Got a bit of Celotex there just to keep the end up for me. So I'm just mocking it up to see where I want it, which is going to be here. I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do is glue that side, hold it and press it, and then I'll push in the other side. With the glue gun, I apply a little bit to here. You want to be quite quick. I'm probably blocking your view. So I'm pressing that on and holding this up to where it needs to be. I'm holding it for quite a while. This job would be so much easier with two people. But I'm here on my own. Mark did come up last week and he gave me a hand for about 5 hours, which it was a help, but I could do with 5 people here for 5 days. Hopefully this is going to hold. So what I'm going to do now is start hot gluing the top side. There's a possibility, because of the size of the gap here, when I push this on it might pop that end off. We'll have to see now. So this is just a few dots to hold it in place. I will then go around it, squeeze a bit of glue in and compress it, hold it in place, and then I'll clean it all up after. But this should hold the panel on there, so it gives me hands-free work, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do, take you around the other side, and I'll show you the size of the gap. So as you can see there, the panel is on, and from far away, it looks good. Just like me, I look good from far away. When I get close, look at the size of the gaps down there, especially up there on the original bend of the cuddy. That gap's pretty big. That is going to cause me a bit of a problem, but there's nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. I'll have to try and see if I can work something out. You can see the gap here, look, it's not sitting flat at all. Right down there, look. So that top corner there, you can see the light coming through, it kicks. It shouldn't really be like that. The other side wasn't like that. The other side's flat, but this side's not. It's making me wonder if there's been damage there and it's been repaired badly, but you just couldn't see until you do something like this. So yeah, the process is now re-clean everything, all in this area. All of this has been grinded and given a really good key, so we get a nice mechanical bond. But yeah, give this another good clean, this whole area, acetone everything on fiberglassing, and then basically put a bit of wax on it and start fiberglassing it. I will show you the processes as I go through it, but I need to try and see if I can get a better edge along there to fiberglass too, because at the moment it's not great. Well, I've gone to some extremes to get this straight. What I've done, I've put wood screws through into the melamine and hot glue, and I've pulled the sides in. This corner, it's miles out. I've put a straight edge on the other side, and this side's had something drastic done to it. It's really pulled in. So, on the stress point, technically what you want to call it, along here, I've just cut it with a multi-tool. What I've done, hot glue behind it, and I'm using wood screws to pull it in. I've got one left to do, well, maybe two left to do, but I'm going to show you what I'm doing. I've already cut along that line up there. I'm going to put hot glue behind here. And quickly before it goes off, got a wood screw in. I'm going to leave that there for a moment. Let that go hard and cool down, but I'll show you the edge now. I've pulled it back in nice and tight right up. Up there was miles out, if you remember in the video, but I'll have to try and put the camera in a funny angle to show you. You can see there I've cut along there, so it detaches this part from this part so they can move. And if you look there, it's pulled back in nicely at all here. I do need to do this edge, but yeah, it's going to give me a lot less prep. You can see right down it there. So as you can see, this is the sort of problems I'm having doing this boat build. Every step I go to, I find a little issue. That little issue ends up being half an hour to an hour. Just like this issue, this should have been glued on and been fiberglassing by now, like that side, but it's not. The fiberglassing is the easy part, and the quick part, it's the preparation before you fiberglass, cutting all the matting, getting everything right. Because once you put it on, that is it, it's too late. So yeah, what I'm going to do now is try and pull this in a little bit, but to be fair, that's not too bad now. It's not too far off, which is acceptable for what I need to do. It'll give me a lot less prep on the outside, and it's going to make it look a lot more factory and match that side. Working with a fiberglass mold or a fiberglass boat that's been built between 20 and 30 years ago, it's difficult. Nothing is true, nothing is square, nothing's symmetrical. People think boats are millimeter perfect. They're not. They're out by miles from one side to the other. I don't know about modern boats today, they're probably the same, but boats this age are not symmetrical. So trying to get it symmetrical is very difficult, but I'm getting it as close as I can, basically. I want it to be as good as possible and built as good as possible. I'm using modern technology, if you want to call it that, more modern materials. It will be stronger and it will be better. Anyway, I'm going to attempt to pull these screws out and see what happens. It may just pop because of the pressure behind it. That one's all right. That one's not. I need more hot glue. Go heavy on it. And this side probably is going to be the same because there's so much pressure there. No. Seems all right. I will hot glue further up just in case, because there is a lot of pressure on that part. So yeah, there's just like plasterboard screws I'm putting in, and just to pull it in, and then I'm taking the screws out so I can fiberglass over everything. The holes are not a problem because the resin and fiberglass will fill them. I know this seems mega extreme, but there's no other way of doing it. So this is pretty much the reason why I've not made many videos of this step, because there's a lot of messing about like this. But I did think to myself, possibly this can help you on your own restorations. Give that some time to set now. But that has pulled everything in really tight. So as you can see here, what I've done is turned it onto its side. The sound may be a little tiny bit loud. I've tried to put the microphone inside the mask, just so I can still talk to you and you can hear me. What I've done now, I've turned the Flybridge on its side. You can see here, there's a little bit of paint left. That paint has to go. That cannot stay there like that. So I'm going to grind this back now. I've cut all the glue off around the sides and I've smoothed it all out. Once I've grinded all this old paint off, I'll fiberglass it. So as you can see, that's all just been ground off there. That line that I've cut, I've given that a really good grind back, and I've just gone over the all over again quickly. This is now ready to acetone. So when you're doing any work like this, PPE is really important. I do normally wear it all the time, but obviously recording is impossible. So what I've tried to do is put the microphone inside the mask. I don't think it's going to work, but I'm trying. Give it a good scrub now with acetone everywhere, even the wood. So I've got the microphone back on normally now. I've ground it all out, acetoned everything. I'm going to do some release wax on the wood. I'm going to cut the fiberglass matting to the exact shape of this. I'm going to build it back up. I'm going to do around 6 layers, and once I've got to about 6 layers, I'll start to tie it into everything. Once I've done 6 layers, maybe 7-ish, I'm going to stop there and let it go off. Otherwise, you'll get too much heat in there. Too much heat will make it brittle. So build this up now, 6-7 layers, let it go off, and then I'll fiberglass it into the sides of here, up here, and all of this needs fiberglass in there, and the centerpiece. So you might be able to see through there, I've got all the matting cut. I've cut 4 layers of chop strand and 2 layers of woven. So what I'm going to do is build this up with the 6 layers, let it go off for a while that's going off, I'm going to go and fiberglass the cuddy. Give it a couple of hours, maybe a bit less, and then I'll start fiberglassing over everything and tying everything in. This is the mold release wax. It's called Miracle Gloss. I got this on eBay, I think so, but yeah. It just tells you there, it's got Canubra in it, and it works really well. So, all I'll do with this, as you can see right there, is apply a nice little coat to this melamine board. So literally, I get the rag in, get a good coat on the cloth. I'm not going to touch the fiberglass, I'm only going to go on the wood. So I'll go up to the edge carefully like this and get a nice coat of this stuff on there. I have been doing 3-4 coats, but on that piece that you see me release earlier, I only put 1 coat on and it worked fine, so I'm just going to do 1 coat. I don't think you really need it because of the melamine. I think it'd release on its own anyway. So that's all I'm going to do. Give that a minute or so just to dry a little bit. Give it a very light buff, just a little wipe off for any wet residue. We're going to start fiberglassing. So I'm about to start mixing the resin now. I'm not going to show you the resin mixing, I'll explain it. The resin I'm using is polyester laminating resin. It's 446 PA. I've brought this from MB Fiberglass, which is a company in Ireland. You've got your ratios all on here. I'm mixing today at 1%. We've got quite a warm day. I generally normally do 2% mix, but it goes off very quick and I want a little bit of time to work with this. So doing a 1% mix, if you mix up 1 kilo of resin, I'll weigh this out, it's easier to weigh it. So it's 1 kilo of resin to 10 grams of catalyst. Give it a really good stir. They say to mix it for around 2 minutes, scrape all the edges, that sort of thing, and you'll see the colour of it change. This is a clear resin. It's like a bluish colour. Once you start to mix it, it gets a greenish tinge. If you've missed any areas, you'll notice blue streaks in it. So just give it a really, really good thorough mix. If it doesn't go off, you're wasting your time on the job. So yeah, this is around £30 for the 5 kilo tub, which I think is 5 litres. I'll buy it in 25 kilo batches, which is around 130 quid. It's not cheap. I've only got 4 left. I've got a lot of work to do, so I'm probably going to be ordering another 50 kilos, to be honest. Anyway, I'm going to get that resin mixed and we're going to start pouring it on and get this fiberglassing done. So we're about to start fiberglassing. I've got a kilo of resin mixed up there. What we're going to do first is coat everywhere when putting glass. Give it a good coat with resin. Obviously, with anything like this, you need to be wearing a respirator and protective equipment. I haven't got a respirator on purely because I'm recording and you won't be able to hear me. I did try and put the microphone inside the mask and I don't think it really works. So basically that's it now. That's got a really good coat on it. We'll start getting the glass on, which I've got just here to hand. So basically, I'm going to start soaking this with resin. All around the edges, make sure you get to the edges. You are going to get resin dripping off. You are going to make a mess. So be prepared for that. And this, I am technically oversaturating it. But it's not it's not a problem with this because I am going over the top with more fiberglass. You can see there, that is too much resin. You don't want standing resin like that. But as we come to the top layers, I'll show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to give it a really good coat everywhere. This is a consolidation roller. I prefer it with the fins vertical than horizontal. The horizontal fins seem to flip the resin everywhere, make a mess. This doesn't. Not as bad anyway. So it's really important I get this first layer super flat to the wood. I make sure there's no air pockets in it. And make sure I've got a nice flat surface. This will give me a better finish on the outside. I'm not pressing really, really hard or anything like that. I'm just making sure I contact everywhere. That's good. Now I'm going to get the second layer of chop strand. Literally just lay it straight on top. And the same again. What we'll do, pour some resin on. I'm not really technically brushing it, I'm just spreading it around with a brush. You can't brush it on chop strand because it just lifts all the fibres. But this is just to get it on there quicker so we can get through the job quicker, because this, in the book here, it will have a thermal reaction because it's so deep and it'll go off super quick. I forgot the proper name for it, but yeah, it will react inside the bucket faster than it will out in a shallow tray. So, you can't hang about. This is a bit soon to roll this layer. It's not soaked into the matting. I just want to make sure there's no excess air bubbles in it, and I'm going straight on top with a layer of Roven. When you use Roven, you need to sandwich it in between chop strand because it doesn't stick to things very well. So we get a piece of Roven on here now. This you can brush. Pour the resin on again, spread it around. What I was saying, you can't use Roven on its own. you do need to sandwich it in between chop strand. So what I'll do, like I've done here, is 2 layers of chop strand. So what I've just basically put down is 900 grams or 900 GSM of chop strand before this roving. We'll give this a good roll, get any excess air out. The reason I've put down 2 layers of chop strand before the roving, you'll get print through. Obviously, this is underneath is the surface that needs to be painted. And if you only did 1 layer of 450 chop strand, it will print through. 2 layers will stop it printing through. If this was on the inside, it wouldn't be a problem. But obviously, that's the outside layer, so it would be a problem. That's nice and flat. So, another chop strand. You can see I've got everything to hand. So, I'm not having to mess around. I can just get it on. And this resin is actually going off already. Same again, pour it on, spread it around. You can probably see the resin changing colour because it is starting to kick slowly. And you can see how far resin doesn't go. The chop strand really does suck the resin in. I mixed up 1 kilo and I'll have just about enough, I reckon. So this is a bit soon to be getting the roller on it because you want to let the resin break the mat up. The only reason I'm doing a quick roll is to level the resin out and get rid of any air pockets that might be under it. I will be doing a final roll at the end once it's all been really, really well saturated. There's a binder in chop strand which holds all the little fibres interlocked together. The resin dissolves it. So then the fibres become saturated with resin, which makes it a lot stronger. You've got powder bound and you've got all different ones. Honestly, I don't know which type this one is. All I know is it's good stuff. So now, another layer of roving. As you've seen, the layers are getting bigger and starting to overlap the edge a little. I'm going heavy on the resin, as you can see. The last layer won't be as resin rich. So this layer now, I'll make sure I spread it out. I don't have too much excess resin. If you scrape the brush off on the bucket, you can see it'll pick the resin up. The reason why I'm about to put on the last layer for now, and if you get it resin rich, you can make it brittle and weak. It can crack. So before this last layer goes on, I've got to make sure I get all the air out and it's a good finish. This will be fine now for the next layer. You can see it goes on pretty quick when you've got everything to hand and organised. So what this is doing the matting on here, is building it up to the layer of the original Flybridge. And get the final layer on. What I'll be doing is letting this go off for a while, and then I'll be doing more layers on it after. So I'm going to be careful now we don't oversaturate it. So we'll take our time on this last layer now. Just like we're doing here. What I'll probably do is get a couple of bits of chop strand and just tie it into the side, because we have got some leftover resin. I don't want to be wasting it. Make sure you saturate the edges as well, hanging off the sides, because it makes it easy to cut off. So what I'm going to do is let that soak for 30-40 seconds and go and grab some more chop strand and just tie it into the edges. So as you can see, there's a normal bit of chop strand there. What we'll do, lay a bit across the top here, just like that. What this will do is just going to help tie it into the Flybridge while it's sitting in case anything was to move, or if that board had any problems and decided to start coming off. That's not going to happen, but this just helps make it all one. It just gives it a bit of security. So as you can see there, perfect amount. Now it's really important this gets rolled nicely. I'm not putting loads of pressure on it. It's literally almost just the weight of the roller, as you can see. But I need to give it a really good roll. Make sure there's no air. And make sure it's sitting nice and flat. Just like this, and then I'll let this go off for an hour or so, and what I'll do, I'll come back after it's kicked and we'll do more. Tie it all together really, really well. It's going to be a lot of fiberglass in work today, because I need to finish all of this up the top here, basically all the way around the Flybridge ready, and I'm hoping I can bond this to the boat tomorrow when it's all gone off. That's my hope anyway. So as you can see, this is looking really nice. All the edges are good. I can see the wood right through the edge. There's not too much resin. It's just nice. So we'll leave it like that. That's that job done. Then I get this roller straight into acetone, give it a good clean off, and also the brush. This brush has been reused 3 times, so cleaning it with acetone does save a bit of money. So that's it for now. That is done. So that's it, that's done. What I'm going to do is let this go off for an hour or so, like I said, and I'll fiberglass everything else in together. There's no point showing you all of that process because it's exactly the same as what you've just seen. I'll just be doing it on the sides, in the corners and everywhere else. I'm not going to show releasing this part because I did show the other side, releasing the wood off it. So it's exactly the same process. You just didn't see the first part of that process, which I've just done there. We'll let this go off and then we'll carry on glassing after. Now I'm going to get onto the cuddy. So I'm going to start fiberglassing all around the inside of the cuddy to tie all of that in. I hope you found this video helpful or useful. I hope you picked up a few tips. If you did, please consider giving the video a like. Please consider subscribing to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.